All right, we're going to totally switch gears here for a moment, folks, and talk about a very interesting constitutional case. What rights do people who are here illegally have under our U.S. Constitution? So here's the case. The widow of an undocumented man who was shot and killed by police in Mississippi after they responded to the wrong home has now sued the city for $20 million. We will hear from the attorney representing the man's widow and family, as well as constitutional law attorney, just in a moment. But first, Chief Breaking News correspondent Trace Gallagher gives us the backstory on this. Hi, Trace.
Hi, Martha. In July 2017, police in South Haven, Mississippi were out looking for a domestic violence suspect. They went to a mobile home park but knocked on a door of the wrong home. A pit bull ran out, and the officers say 41-year-old Ishmael Lopez cracked open the door and pointed a gun at them. They opened fire, killing Lopez. A grand jury later declined to indict the officers, and now the city is trying to convince a judge to dismiss a $20 million lawsuit filed by the family, saying Ishmael Lopez does not have constitutional rights because he was in the country illegally and had a lengthy criminal record, including domestic violence and drunk driving. The city goes on to argue that Lopez was not one of, quote, "we the people of the United States of America," as referenced in the preamble to the Constitution. And the city also points to a 1990 Supreme Court case where justices ruled the Fourth Amendment does not protect foreigners from unreasonable search and seizure while they are in foreign territory or international waters. Lawyers for the family call that reasoning chilling, ludicrous, and insane, saying the city's position is basically, quoting here, because he's an undocumented immigrant who has no constitutional protections, it's okay for the city of South Haven to kill him. The family's lawyers also argue that constitutional protections apply to all persons in the USA, not just citizens. And they add that if this was an accident, as the city contends, local authorities should have taken responsibility and made it right. Unclear when the judge might decide, Martha.
All right, we'll see where it goes. Joining me now, Jenna Ellis-Reeves, a constitutional law attorney, and Murray B. Wells, the attorney representing Ishmael Lopez's estate. Good to have both of you with us. Let me start with the attorney for the estate, Murray Wells. Where, in your mind, what rights does an illegal immigrant have in the United States of America with regard to this?
That's a great question. The 14th Amendment gives all persons in United States jurisdiction the full rights of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has weighed on the issue over and over again, and they've been very clear that it doesn't matter if you're here legally, illegally, documented, undocumented. When you're on American soil, you get the full protection of the constitutional rights.
It's interesting that you put it that way. Let me just, I'm sorry, because the city attorney said something extraordinary. If he ever had Fourth Amendment or 14th Amendment civil rights, they were lost by his own conduct and misconduct. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that she just missed the entire point. The Fifth Circuit, where she's arguing this, has addressed that issue squarely and said that it's just not true. As long as you're on American soil, you get protection of the United States Constitution and its amendments.
All right, let me turn to Jenna here. One of the issues in this case is how he was killed, Jenna. Whether or not, his wife, the widow, maintains that the bullet went right through the door and shot him in the head. The other side of the story is that he opened the door and that he pointed a gun at them. What's the impact of those two sides of the story on his rights?
Well, those two facts are much more important here in terms of analyzing this from a constitutional perspective. And so I would agree that certainly his illegal status does not merit a direct just dismissal of this case. But we have to be very careful, Martha, to not say that illegal immigrants get all protections of the Constitution. We have to be very precise, because we know that anyone here who is not a citizen can be removed under immigration law. And so there are some protections of the Constitution that don't apply. But in this specific instance, this person's illegal status does not have any bearing on the case at hand. And so this should be treated, constitutionally speaking, just as if this was someone who was visiting on a visa, just like this was a citizen, just like any other case in terms of a wrongful death sort of claim.
Yeah. All right, we'll follow it. Thank you very much to both of you. Good to have you here tonight.